Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time around we had Time Lash. What was that one about?
Doctor Who Classic.
Yeah. It's the same show. They called it Doctor Who.
Time Lash. The Doctor and Perry are on their way to a vacation and they get knocked off of their course and land in the late 1800s, pick up a young guy named Herbert. Actually, they don't pick him up. He stows away, if I recall. And they go to this planet that is seemingly at war with another planet of rather peaceful people, but somehow. And there's, of course, the autocratic regime that's trying to keep everybody in line, and their punishment is this thing called the Time Lash, where you're literally just thrown into a time corridor, supposedly lost forever. And there's an underground group of rebels, conveniently named the Morlocks.
Well, those were the big monster guys. Oh. The rebels were just rebels. Oh. But because the Morlocks was the monster things.
Okay.
And then the secret shadow leader, the Borad, wanted to become a Morlocks. So.
Okay. Anyway, that all gets resolved, and of course, we find out that Herbert is Herbert George Wells, who would go on to use this, apparently, to write his great novel, The Time Machine.
Yeah.
Featuring the Morlocks.
Yeah. And the Morlocks was sent back to the 12th century in Scotland, and the Doctor is just fine, just kind of leaving him there, and is like, well, he'll be the Loch Ness Monster, it'll be fine. So, it was kind of weird.
It was clever.
It could have used, like, another draft, but otherwise, it was fine.
Yeah.
So now, we're on to the last story of the season, which is Revelation of the Daleks. I wonder what this could be about. It could be about the Daleks. Nope, maybe it's the Cybermen. Anywho.
Well, I'm looking there, it says Davros.
Maybe. They all have to have Davros now, so you can't just have an episode of the Daleks without Davros. So, yeah. I don't know. Do we have anything going in? Last time we saw the Daleks was Resurrection of the Daleks, where they weren't on good terms with Davros. And, yeah, that was a particularly good episode, at least.
A huge body count, if I recall correctly, though.
Yeah, so,
wonder if we can expect the same thing here.
I mean, maybe. We are just kind of in that time now of just death. There's just a lot of death.
Now, as far as I remember, Terry Nation has nothing to do with any of these?
No, he's been gone for a while,
okay.
So, they just send him a check every few years, so, I'm noticing these were both aired on the same day. Now, every time I point that out, people will generally say that's not right, so it's entirely possible that Amazon has that wrong, but from what it says here, they were aired on the same day, and I'd be curious if that is the case. I wonder why, but, yeah, do we got anything else?
No, my show is open. Yay, we're doing really well. Houses have been very, very good, so fingers crossed, break legs, the whole shebang.
Yeah, so we might as well jump right into Revelation of the Daleks. Here we go. Film quality on this is pretty weird. Like, it's a lower quality, and I don't know why there's a big old stripe at the top.
It's a Monty Python landscape.
I'm glad we get to just get into it, at least.
A teletalk is after today will go down in funerary history. Everyone will want our services.
Well, let's get the day over with first, Mr. Gerbil.
Always the cautious one, Tarkis, but you're absolutely right.
Necros, Planet of the Dead.
Oh no, guns. We already have dead people, you don't need to make more.
Hey there, you guys. Viggy's there. For those of you who are appreciative
of
female funk, remember that although I am playing swinging 60s sounds...
And there are the Daleks.
My lure has worked.
I can order Daleks to detain him.
No. Give me the greater pleasure to watch his own curiosity deliver him into my hands.
I love that his only form of surveillance is some 60s radio show. You got him.
Show me!
Is he just a head in a jar now?
Looks like it.
What happened to you? The great healer.
Ironically. This is an interesting shot.
Meanwhile, find the intruders!
I think I know how they got in. In through the window.
Celebrating your long life. It's some good old 50s Earth time rock and roll. Yeah, go for it. Woo!
What's happening?
Hey there, guys. I said, hey there, guys. I said, hey, the maiden in distress is a coming this way. I wonder which one of you lucky fellas she's coming to see.
Please be none. I can't watch this girl go through this again.
Have we seen white and gold Daleks before?
Was that thing on guard?
I don't know.
So it seems. And it's worse than I thought.
Okay, I was gonna say, they're just okay with the Daleks. The Daleks own here, but they don't even question, really.
Hurry up, get on with it. Don't you ever listen. I'm a doctor, not a magician. Don't kill him.
There's a Star Trek reference.
He's
Wow.
already dead. Now get the door open.
Okay. Ugh, but don't drop me.
Drop you. I'll be lucky if I can lift you the amount you weigh.
Oh, watch it, Porky.
This place is gruesome.
Oh, crystal Daleks.
Now listen, you guys. I don't wish to allow me.
Okay, it's a bit of a tonal shift between scenes, but that was interesting.
Guy looks a little bit like Eddie from the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Kill me, child!
I can't.
It is our duty to eradicate all those who wish to pollute the purity of the Dalek race.
You mean like Davros?
I think we shall get on very well.
Bostock, my squire.
He's like that.
I'm afraid the only philosophy practiced by Bostock is to do as little about his personal hygiene as possible.
And why not?
Be seated, gentlemen.
We prefer to stand.
Of course, how foolish. As men of action, you must be like coiled springs, alert, ready to pounce.
Nothing so romantic. I have an artificial leg with a faulty hydraulic valve. When seated, the valve is inclined to jam.
What were they on when they wrote this?
This is really weird.
Tranquil repose.
That doesn't sound very alien.
Now, what did you expect?
Oh, I don't know. Something more ethereal. Tranquil repose. Ugh. Sounds kind of yuck. It's the sort of name we come up with in the States.
America doesn't have the monopoly on bad taste.
Meh.
I know that. It's just the way you talked about your
Yet we have so much of it.
Didn't expect to find him in
Although the president has yet to arrive, the utmost decorum and good taste will be shown from this moment on. Black cotton gloves will be worn at all times, and there will be no drinking, swearing, or smoking of herbal mixture in the presence of the deceased. Are you picking your nose? I should
This is so weird.
Oh, man.
I don't know, some sort of machinery.
There's no way it snuck around that quickly.
No. No.
Well, don't you like it? It's not a bad likeness.
What's happening?
Dreadful.
I don't get what's happening.
This is the garden of fond memories. I've somehow managed to arrive after my own death.
Well,
Oh.
possible?
I never thought recognizance of my own death would be so disturbing.
Can't see one! Stuck in the statue!
Now, hang on a second. I'd like to see who the woman that Davros was. No, didn't recognize. So we just watched 45 minutes of like 3 or 4 different storylines.
Yeah, from 3 or 4 different writers.
Of which, and again, several commenters have noticed this, that so far the Doctor has no part of the ongoing plots. He's just basically an observer at this point.
Yeah, and you know, because I've noticed a lot of episodes, like, it's not until like halfway through part 1 that they get out of the TARDIS and they're finally involved in the plot. And I thought, okay, they're walking out of the TARDIS first thing this time. But no, this entire first part, which would have been 2 episodes back in the 4-part format, is just them walking around and not doing anything. Oh, and yet so many things have happened, none of which make sense.
Well, we have 2 new kinds of Daleks. We saw the white and gold Dalek and a crystal Dalek, which was very weird.
Yeah.
But what appears to be the underlying theme is that Davros is trying to create a new kind of Dalek instead of the original creatures.
Yeah.
What were they originally?
The Khaleds.
Khaleds. Now he's taking humanoids, and reducing them to brains and stuffing them inside a Dalek shell.
Yet they're still talking about the purity of like the Dalek species, which on like 10 levels doesn't make any sense because it is maybe human, at the very least not Dalek and not Khaled. But if you go with the idea that, well, in order to preserve Dalek purity, you need a Khaled, A, the Khaleds are gone, B, the Daleks still aren't technically the Khaled, so that doesn't even work. And also, it's like the closest thing you could get is if they were made from Davros himself, because he's the last of the Khaleds. But I don't know. I don't know if that's... I don't know. That doesn't make sense.
And yet, it's intriguing. I'd like to find out what the heck is going on.
Yeah, it certainly keeps your attention. Like the radio DJ, I guess he's there for the dead. I guess he's there, they're not dead. They're in suspended animation. So when you almost die, if you would like, you can be sent to this planet where you have to listen to a crappy radio DJ for the rest of eternity. Who somehow very quickly cycles through a hippie costume, an Elvis costume, and I think the last one was an Al Pacino costume. And that was... Or Al Capone, not Al Pacino. Or maybe both. I don't know. Maybe it's both of them. It's all the Als, so... So that was strange. On top of... It is just kind of weird. Honestly, this is now the least weird thing in the episode, is Davros extorting this planet for money. That's just kind of a weird thing. Like, you never think of, like, Davros needing money, you know? That would be like the Wizard of Oz, you know, is getting an audit from the IRS. Like, you just don't... That's not something you generally associate with them, you know? But then...
But again, if he's been if he's gone into exile,
Yeah.
and obviously cannot be known to be somewhere specifically.
Yeah.
So he's apparently landed on this planet, which is in some, I don't want to say it's a plague, but in some kind of famine mode. And he convinces them that he is the great healer and he can somehow, grow food for them, and then they're going to export it across the galaxy and make, billions of dollars or trillions of dollars off of it. It's a good way to hide yourself in plain sight, essentially.
Yeah.
So that he can take the money to continue his nefarious plot to rebuild the Dalek race.
Yeah. I'm assuming the funeral home part of the planet, does not actually make that much money, so he's using the ending famine part of the planet in order to get the money for his funeral home so that he can experiment and make new head Dalek crystal Pepsi things. So,
now, at some point, I would swear somebody said something about mushrooms or some. The doctor said the flower is commonly just known as the weed plant. I'm wondering if that was an inside joke. If is it Sayward or Soward who wrote this? Might have been, shall we say, one toke over the line, sweet Jesus, because this is probably one of the most bizarre, almost psychedelic type induced scripts that I think we have seen in, what is it now, 25 seasons?
Yeah, in 22 years of watching this. Well, it's the tonal whiplash, because they go from this guy who has been genetically altered, he's just a head inside a crystal Dalek casing, screaming for his daughter to murder him and put him out of his misery. Hard cut to DJ Elvis, doing his DJ Elvis thing. Just the hard cut is just so strange. Or even this is, I guess, the greatest assassin in the galaxy being hired because he's the only one who can defeat Davros. Why doesn't he take a seat? Well, he has a faulty, prosthetic leg. So if he sits down, it might accidentally hitch, and then he's just kind of stuck for a while. And it's
that is right out of Doctor Strangelove.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, this will mean nothing, but I have to tell Alex this anyway. It reminds me of one of the greatest ad-libs that I'd ever seen. When I was at the university, they were doing a production of Joseph Heller's Catch-22, which is very weird, just like this is. And there was a very small scene where somebody had to come in to talk to an bureaucrat, an official or something. And the bureaucrat says something like, "Won't you have a seat?" The problem was, one night during the performance, the stage crew forgot to set the chair that he was to sit down in. So he looked around and says, "No, I'm sorry, I can't. I had my buttocks removed several years ago in Mexico." And then just remained standing for the rest of that scene. And I was thinking, here's this guy, and you just wonder if this guy said, what would be funny if I said, "No, I can't sit down because I've got a hollow leg." It's
yeah,
what is going on here?
And his squire who cannot take a shower for some reason, they just felt like doing that.
And the woman who's in charge there, I saw her name was Eleanor Braun. I cannot place her, but I know she did a lot of probably early, mid, maybe even late 70s. I want to say, Hammer films and, the Peter Cushing. What's the other guy who did Dracula?
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee, that kind of stuff. I think that's her. But she's wonderful in whatever she does because she can become very imperious, and yet she also exudes a sexuality, a sensuality. So, she's very good at getting this, assassin to do what she wants him to do.
Yeah. And again, probably the other least weird thing of this is, I guess the Doctor is going to die here.
But you might have noticed,
yeah,
right behind him was a pool.
Yeah.
So as it started to fall, they didn't show him. They showed him backing up. And I think that's the way they're going to get out of this, is that he fell into the pool and therefore was not crushed.
Yeah. But even just the statue is just odd. It is a thing of like, it's like, oh, is he going to have to change his timeline so that he doesn't die here? Or because he said it's like, it's too expensive to be a gag. And it's like, yes, but it also sounds like some weird Wile E. Coyote thing that Davros would do to try to kill him. Which is weird that now I've thought of, like, it's like, yes, that's perfectly in character for Davros to do. What am I talking about? Why would Davros ever pull this weird statue-crushing prank, basically? Like, but then again, what happened to Davros? Why is he just a head in a jar?
Now, I'm assuming, because they said, if you go back one screen there, that's the guy, is it Terry Malloy?
Yeah.
Who's playing Davros again?
Yeah.
All right. So, as quickly as that thing turns around, is that just his voice? Or if he's actually sitting in there, he's got to be literally strapped to that chair because it spins so fast, it would almost give him whiplash.
Yeah. So, maybe it's like an animatronic or something.
Yeah. And he's just doing the voice. Now, this Tessenbeker, Jenny Thompson, that may be the one that he's lured in right there at the end and said, I want you to be working with me.
Maybe.
She looks very familiar, and she sounds very familiar. I seem to recall seeing her in things later on, like in the, when she was a much more mature woman. But she's got the face and the voice that sounds very, very familiar to me, so I'll have to look her up after this.
Yeah. And then I guess the last thing we just didn't talk about was Mr. Jobel, the funeral director, I guess.
Which was a very, very interesting sense of humor.
But yeah, it was just a very strange thing of, you will all be on your best, most respectable behavior. Are you picking your nose? How dare? And it's just like, what? Who came up with, like, this is such a... I almost wonder if they were like, okay, we got to do another Dalek story, and they were like, okay, can I just write whatever? And maybe, JNT was just like, go ahead, it doesn't matter.
Well, the other thing about that is sometimes when you hire specific actors, they are given a script, but then they can essentially riff on it. They can throw in a few lines here and there that were not perhaps in the original script, but once they said them in a rehearsal or something, then Sayward said, you know what, that's a good little bit.
Yeah.
Don't pick your nose, or are you picking your whatever. So there's some bits in the show that I'm directing that are not in the script, but based on the words in the script, these little comedic bits that we throw in are perfectly in line with that. So I'm wondering if they actually allowed them to open up a little bit and say, hey guys, have some fun with this.
Yeah. It's just such a strange... Like, I don't remember if people were saying that if this is a well-received episode or not. I get this feeling maybe not so much, but at the same time, it's like, I can understand. Like, this is one of those episodes where it's like, I understand if you do enjoy this, just because it's so weird. Like, I hope this keeps up in part 2, so that at the very least I can look at it and be like, well, I was entertained.
Yes.
I never a dull moment in that episode.
No, you're not entertained.
Oh, yeah.
And still, revelation of the Daleks. What revelation are we seeing?
The revelation is the Daleks realize he's still alive and they have to come kill him. Oh, the cropping is a little different on this one. It's so weird.
What?
I never thought precognizance of my own death would be so disturbing.
That's... Alright, well, that was a weird typo on their part.
Calm, someone as pretty as you shouldn't be all of a fluster.
Don't start with that.
It's a terrible accident.
I like pretty things, and you are very pretty, aren't you?
Oh, here we go.
No.
Keep him, Barber. I'm not dead yet.
You're right.
It was styrofoam. I want to believe there wasn't a security camera and he just noticed he's on a show.
Like Hartnell did.
Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt.
For a small extra cost, you may purchase our personalized communications service.
Hi there, this is the DJ. Now, if you're missing your resting one, I want to tell them just how much, then why not call on me?
Wait, I have to pay more for this guy? You gotta be kidding.
All right.
Well, I'd quite like to meet the DJ.
Why not this way? Joba will look after you.
No, it's all right. I'm okay.
Excuse us. One moment. Go with him. I think from what we've learned, you'll be a good deal safer with Mr. Jobel than you will with the great healer.
That's a sad statement.
To the TARDIS.
No.
Hi. I hope you don't mind me dropping in.
No, it's nice to have visitors.
Well, I'm Perry.
Is that your real accent?
Well, so.
In a cosmic sort of way.
Of the United States of America on Earth?
That's right.
That's amazing. That's just amazing.
Well, have you been there?
No. It's just that I've heard recordings, you know. My great-granddad brought them back from one of his visits, and I really love the sound of those old American DJs, so I kind of decided to kind of base my style of presentation on them, you know?
Well,
He's from Oop North.
Though I don't know why. He's always humiliating me.
So I have observed. If someone had treated me the way he has treated you, I think I would have killed them.
Killed him? Oh no, I couldn't do that.
No. Doesn't grow.
Did Davros just kink shame her? Did I just say that?
It's only a matter of time now before he finds Davros' laboratory, taps out his little digital code, and blows himself, Davros, and that disgusting little squire into 1,000 tiny pieces.
How dare you enter unannounced?
You will come with us. You will
The door was open. We heard everything.
Serve me with your total being. I shall allow you to become a Dalek.
It's an offer.
That is an offer.
Refuse.
It is an offer that must be fulfilled through blood. Show
Davros is the Godfather.
Yeah.
to burn. Place wouldn't function without me.
He doesn't care about tranquil repose. He's already turned it into a breeding ground for Daleks.
Now I know you're lying. I spoke to him only the other day. He has tremendous plans for this place. There certainly was no talk of turning it into a Dalek farm.
He lies as freely as you pick up women.
That's pretty freely.
So I would rather run away with my mother than own a fawning little creep like you.
Jeez.
Could be cruel. I hate you!
Embalming fluid.
Eh.
Oh, why did I do it?
You will be exterminated.
You can do better as a Dalek.
That's not very good news. Those people they're the body snatchers.
Well, can I speak to him?
Yeah, sure.
You know what? I have come around on this DJ.
Are you out of your mind? I'm not going back in there. In a minute, this place will be crawling with Daleks. A flimsy, but nevertheless a convincing argument.
Should have said so from the beginning.
The power pack's exhausted. How do we kill them?
This controls the incubators.
Break the glass, rip the brains out, and step on them. Oh my gosh. It worked.
Master, you killed him.
Has your instinct deserted you? Kill was too easy.
That you have realized too late, Grand Masters.
Oh, it was just a fake head.
Of course.
That's not as cool anymore. Oh, they're dead.
Is a highly directional ultrasonic beam of rock and roll. It kills.
Intriguing.
You can murder someone with the Beatles.
Box of delight.
You imbecile! I thought you were a man of honor. Now we both die. Satisfied?
You before me.
Eh.
How many people have died in this episode?
Ooh. Why'd you stop?
Oh, I like the statue, by the way. Very good likeness. You shouldn't have bothered.
As with the news of Stavros' death, it was all part of my scheme to lure you in.
What a scheme.
This part of the galaxy is developing quickly. Famine was one of its major problems.
You've turned them into food?
A scheme that has earned me great acclaim.
Soylent Green is people.
Yeah.
But did you bother to tell anyone they might be eating their own relatives?
Certainly not! But would have created what I believe is termed consumer resistance.
I am Tarkus.
You sent for us.
That's right.
Where is Davros?
I'll take you to him, but
Oh.
first, can we discuss our deal?
They called the regular Daleks.
My main force of Daleks is well hidden.
Oh!
We'll be lucky to be alive at the end of this.
But they're going to destroy Davros' Daleks.
They will not be destroyed. They will be reconditioned to obey the will of the Supreme Dalek. You will come with us.
I don't know if you've actually saved the situation.
He is a sworn enemy of the Daleks. He is the Doctor.
Doctor? No.
His image does not compute with the known appearance of the Doctor.
That worked out.
Regenerated fool! I've not heard the last of me. I shall return.
And I shall be waiting for you.
Like a beaned burrito, I shall return.
Blown up about 5 or 6 Daleks.
Well, yeah.
Those things are expensive.
And they're all different colors.
I know somewhere that is truly tranquil, peaceful, restful. A panacea for the cares of mind.
Can't we go somewhere fun?
Fun? Oh, I suppose anywhere will be peaceful after Necros. All right. I'll take you to...
Tune in next season to find out where they're going.
Are they going to Gallifrey?
I don't know.
I thought the next season was the whole
Trial
of
maybe.
the
I
Time
don't
Lord.
I don't know. They'll figure that out later.
All right, I have to say, all of the threads got tied together at the end.
Yeah.
Davros did escape, but we know at some point, what is it?
Remembrance
Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah.
That he gets his.
This is part of the R trilogy of Daleks. So we had Resurrection. This is Revelation of some sort, and then we'll have Remembrance.
I guess it's the revelation of the new Daleks.
I guess, yeah. So that was weird. That may have been the weirdest episode of Doctor Who.
Well, what was that one where they were encountering the characters from books? That one was pretty weird.
Yeah, the mind robber.
Mind robber, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird, but that's still like, I don't know, at least that made sense in its own world, basically. Like this, I don't know. Davros kink-shamed a woman and then made her kill the creep she was in love with. and then didn't go anywhere, really. Like, What happened to her, by the way? Did she die? I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
I don't remember. You'd think we would remember what happened, but... let's see. He kills him.
And then disappears.
Yeah. Yeah, she just disappeared. I mean, I guess she was going to be transformed into a Dalek, so I suppose she was taken away, and now she's dead with the rest of the new gen Daleks, but yeah, that was just kind of a plot point that happened and then stopped happening. Yeah.
And pretty much all that stuff we discussed in the first episode. I mean, again, one by one, they did kind of tie up all of the storylines. It made sense. Orsini's, honorable death made sense for him.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like the guy before.
Lytton,
yeah.
Yeah.
Who ultimately says, I've got to atone for my sins, whatever. So, I mean, it makes sense. It does set up the confrontation between Davros and the Supreme Dalek.
Yeah. It's such a strange episode, like, even just down to the DJ. Why was the DJ in this episode? He was kind of there.
Well, he tried to explain to Perry that, and when Tessenbeker was talking about it, so that when you go into suspended animation, you don't wake up into a completely different technological and cultural world. You are fed basically updates to everything that's going on, and you're being soothed by, the rock and roll or the music or whatever from your own time period. I'm not exactly sure how that played in. But, I mean, the idea was that your brain is kept functioning and being updated all the time, so you don't, show up 2 millennia later and you feel like a caveman.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's what he was trying to get across.
Yeah. It's just... I don't know. It's just such an odd choice for the episode. And then he had a gun that fired pure rock and roll, and apparently the Daleks could not handle the pelvic gyrations of Elvis Presley, and they exploded.
Well, I mean, it could have been better. I mean, I understand him saying that, but then he could have said, it's a sonic ray gun.
Yeah.
And the Daleks' casing could not withstand that kind of sonic disruption. It's like the Klingons' phasers, because theirs were sonic disruptors. It's sound that causes things to explode.
Yeah, so... Davros's plan to lure the Doctor in is one of the most convoluted things. This is something I expect of the Master, because it's so stupid. Well, yes, when I heard that your friend died, I knew he would be here. So I knew that you would eventually come here, and then to make sure that you knew, to keep your interest in being here, I sent an experimented man, and I had a statue of you, not made out of marble, it had to be made out of styrofoam, and then that would make sure that you were curious enough to come into here and find me, upon which... He didn't really have a plan for the Doctor after that, except, I guess, just capture him and turn him into a Dalek. Yeah. So, it's a little convoluted. I feel like they've just lost what to do with Davros. It's just well, Davros was a really interesting character in Genesis of the Daleks, and it's okay, so how do we bring this guy back? Well, he's making new, bigger Daleks. Okay. What does that do? And they've kind of touched on at least the I guess the rivalry or the conflict between Davros and the actual Daleks, because they don't want him anymore. But it's just kind of a thing of he keeps doing the same thing. Is he going to do anything different in this show? And I know it's a hard question to ask when we do have the Master who does the exact same thing every time he shows up, but the Master, he has such charm and, gravitas. Davros is always the same thing every time we see him. He is man in chair who yells at things. So,
it's making my jaw hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. Anywho, it really does feel like there were 4 different episode ideas, none of which could make an entire episode, so they just kind of put them all together. Like, alright, let's go to a funeral planet. That's an interesting idea, but maybe they're not actually dead, they're in suspended animation, and then someone else, for some reason, thought of, hey, what if someone in space was like a radio DJ, doing American radio DJ voices? And it's like, okay, well, we can combine that into the funeral home thing. Someone said, hey, we need a new Dalek episode. It's, every season, even though we're not going to get another Dalek episode for a couple seasons at least, but we need a new Dalek episode. Okay, we also want another Davros episode because we can't... I guess the Daleks are not interesting enough anymore that you have to have Davros. Which, I guess, one thing with the Daleks, I guess this is sort of the Borg thing of, like, the Borg were a very interesting, concept in The Next Generation. And then, very quickly, they started to think, okay, well, we have the Borg. How do we keep doing episodes with the Borg? And, there's no, like... The Borg themselves were not a character, which is why they were like, okay, we need some sort of, like, figurehead of the Borg, even though that's kind of against the purpose. So it's like, okay, so they did, Locutus of Borg, and eventually they did the Borg Queen. I guess Davros kind of serves that purpose to the Daleks, except he doesn't, because he's not with the Daleks. He's constantly against the Daleks because he wants to take control of them, which is at least different. So there's that part. And also an assassin who will go in and try to kill Davros, which is interesting. So it's like there's too many different things at work.
And don't forget the corporate woman who is making money by selling the protein to various planets in famine, who pays the assassin to kill the great healer Davros. And then we find out only at the very end that, in fact, the bodies are not in suspended animation. They're being turned into food.
Yes. They're either being turned into food or they're being turned into Daleks.
Yes. Well,
it's kind of a half and half.
Their minds are being turned into Daleks and their bodies are being turned into food. That's what I got from it.
Yeah, I guess they're just, take the head for the Dalek, the rest of the body. You can't just, can't just burn it. You put it to use, is Davros's mentality, I guess. I feel like even though this came first, this kind of feels like Davros listened to The Circle of Life and took it the wrong way. When they talk, or like in The Lion King, they talk about, we die, we become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And Davros is like, eat people, got it. I can make money off of this, and then I can make Daleks.
Well, of course, I made that joking reference. There's a really, really bad Charlton Heston movie called Soylent Green, set in the future where the Earth is, starving. And again, the whole plot turns out to be when he breaks into the factory, he finds out that people are being killed and turned into food for other people. So Soylent Green is people.
Yeah, so... yeah, again, like that, I feel like that could have been a plot all on its own, but that's just a side note. That's just how Davros makes money, basically. Yeah. And then Tassenbeaker, who she has it out for Jobel, and so what? This is the 4th or 5th time someone has creeped on Perry. Like, it it has to stop at some point, right?
One would think.
Either it has to stop. Like, I have to feel like there's some behind-the-scenes thing where Nicola Bryant was like, okay, come on, why does this keep happening? You know, like, there's, I don't know. It's just immediate. Like, I'm surprised Perry doesn't carry pepper spray anymore. Like, just use that, clearly, just immediately. It's just, I was so glad when she met the DJ, and it's like, oh, the he's just a nice guy, you know? I'm not sure how he changes costumes so fast, but I'm assuming that's some sort of, maybe it's some sort of just holographic thing, or how he appears to the dead. The dead. Can you imagine being, like, you're suspended for hundreds of years, but the whole point of suspended animation was, you know, it's almost instant for the person actually going under. But imagine it's not that. You're literally just sitting there being fed Twitter all day by a bad Elvis impression. That's what it is.
Oh.
And it's that sounds awful. It's like, you know what? I'd rather be ignorant when I wake up. So, even though the DJ seemed nice. So, and yet why... Okay. Now that I think about the whole thing with Tassenbeaker and the fact that she didn't show up again after killing Jobel, why didn't Davros just send his Dalek to kill Jobel?
I guess it was more of a just a power play that, you know, he wants to prove that he can manipulate people to do his bidding.
Because I even thought about, like, you know, maybe he needs to, you know, kind of cultivate her hatred, her anger, so that she will be a more effective Dalek. But he clearly didn't do that with the one person's father. He just turned him into a crystal Dalek. But maybe I don't know. So I don't know about that, but that was weird. And then the two body snatchers, they just died. They just kind of died off screen. Well, I guess it was on screen, but it was a very quick moment.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's like, it's the problem of, now I'm thinking about it. And you cannot think when it comes to this episode, I feel like. If you do, it will ruin the weird magic. Like, just accept that it's a weird episode and that you were entertained, and try not to think about the details. So, I'm curious what the fan response is to this episode. Do people enjoy it or not? At the very least, I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a good episode, but I enjoyed it. It was just so strange. It was almost like, I don't know, like, it's almost like if Mel Brooks did a Doctor Who episode. And that sounds fascinating, but also to the point where it's like, it doesn't quite go all the way with that, you know? So,
there's also a lot of Quentin Tarantino in it.
Yeah, it's just such a strange... Like, to the point where it's like, okay, you know, Davros head in tube, that's not actually Davros, and, you know, he comes around the corner and he's all normal, and then the doctor shows up and they start talking, and I was like, oh, well, this is just standard Doctor Who stuff. And normally that's fine, but this episode is anything but standard Doctor Who stuff. So, I don't know, but that's the end of season 22. And what a story to go out on. Next.
So we had 4 more seasons? 1 more with 6 and 3 with 7?
Yes. So let's go to season 23. Wait, are these all just... Oh no, they don't split them up specifically? It's... Alright, so next up is the 14-part serial Trial of a Time Lord. We won't be watching all 14 in one day.
No.
But, okay, so someone did leave a comment of, like, how to watch it. I mean, I would just assume we would just go through all, you know, just 2 at a time like we have been doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought these were still, like, split up as, like, technically, you know, they're differently named stories, even if they're all working towards the same goal. But I guess not. So we'll figure it out. We'll make sure everything's good. This will be an interesting season, I'm sure. And will hopefully be... I mean, okay, so season 22. That was a mixed bag, because we started off really good. We had Attack of the Cybermen, which was good. We had, what was it? Vengeance on Davros, which was really good. And The Mark of the Rani, that was good. Something happened. Something happened in the writer's room, which is how we got the 2 Doctors. And then we had Time Lash, which was okay. And then we had this, which was just weird. So I don't know what happened. But at the very least, Colin Baker himself is still a really good Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, if anyone has any problems with this era, it should not be him. Because he's clearly giving his all. He's honestly really good in the part. It's just, boy, he needs a good script to go with him. And even, like, this episode, like, as he kept going, like, you know, when he heard on the radio that, oh, the DJ was killed and everything, and he kept walking around, it's like, is the Doctor going to do anything in this episode? Finally, he did something when he got to Davros, but I don't know. This was a strange season. On top of the fact that this is all predicated on starting with the twin dilemma, which in and of itself, that is, I still think that is probably worse than any episode we watch this season, so at least there's that. So, I hope that season 23 is good and consistent, but we'll have to see. Do you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then that is basically it. With all of that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time, where we go to Time Lord Court and see what that's like. I hope he has a good Time Lord lawyer. So, see you guys there. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist with all of our classic Doctor Who reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions if you want to go check those out. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.